Hello, everyone. My name's Leaf, and Leaf Dubois. I am gonna talk about Raccoony, and thank you all so much for coming. Let's see. If this is the screen will yeah. Anyway, the screen's great. If the layout of this slide looks a little familiar to you if you've been on the website before. So this is kind of a just talking about the webcomic Raccoony from kind of yesteryear, and it's just kind of just some stories about it, and kind of how it came to be, and what's the why might we still care about it? I don't know if we do. So let me just get started here with another introduction about me. So my name's Leaf Dubois. I am I didn't always go by that name in the fandom. I've had other in the past. So you might see some of the works were signed by Jeff Kuhn, and that's kind of the name that I had at the time I made the comic. So that is just some changes with time, but I'm a traditional, I started out in the fandom in the early 90s as a traditional artist, and well, as a fan, and then the fandom basically inspired me to try doing some traditional art, because that's, traditional is all that was available at the time. I recently got into digital art more. It's a lot of fun. Like you see, this picture here is a combination of traditional and digital art, where I still love to sketch with a pencil. It's my favorite. And then I might scan it and put it into a program and color it there, because that's it's just really convenient. So I also I created the comic, and I have a fursuit that you might see you might see that here and there. It's the character Zorori. He's a yellow fox, and kind of outside of doing art, I do engineering. I do chip design, which is kind of a interesting field. I'm actually kind of thinking about doing a different panel at some other con in the future about chip design stuff. I think there's tends to be some, I don't know, I think it's interesting, and maybe others will too. So I just like to, I kind of identify as a nerd a little bit, just because I like to study stuff, and it's fun. I also wanted to, I was invited to be kind of artist and guest of honor at this convention, and it's been a great experience so far. Really appreciate everything, all the work that everyone's done at the convention to make a good experience for everyone, and all the volunteers and staff just working really hard. And I hope everyone has a good time. I hope the staff all has a good time. Really appreciate everything that everyone's done, and I hope you probably saw some of my art around there. I did the poster and a few, like the shirt and a few other, some other stuff. So let's get started. So another intro on Raccoony. I guess is there anyone here who has not read it before, or not seen it before? It's fine. Okay, cool. All right. So got a few new. Potentially new readers. If you like this presentation, go check it out. I will try not to ruin everything. I do have to talk about some of the content, which anyway, I won't spoil everything. So but I will talk about some stuff, and just as a general kind of classification of the comic, it is a I'm gonna sit down. All right. It's a gay coming out story, kind of a slice of life comic from a time where, kind of a time where those types of stories were a little bit less available. And for some, it was a gateway to the furry fan.
This fixed.
Oh, so yeah, well, as I was saying, it's a gateway. You know, kind of a gateway to the furry fandom for some, or you know, gateway is a weird word, but introduction, let's say, and another kind of thing about it, you know, it does have some adult themes, maybe some nudity in it, and it's kind of like not the point of the comic to have, you know, not safe for work stuff, but it is in there. So just kind of like there's this classification of, you know, I just kind of play it safe and say, you know, like this 18 plus. But although this panel here, the content is kind of that, you know, don't worry about it in this panel. You're safe from the stuff. Okay. So the URL is raccoony.com. That's kind of the you know, how you can find it. And let's see. Yeah, I'm happy to see a lot of folks, almost most folks have read it before, or you know, read some of it. So that's really cool. And you know, it's free. I just like to share it. It's been kind of joy to share it. So you know, I don't, you know, just like to like to do that. And let's just talk a little bit about how it started. And this is so in the back, if you can't see the picture, it's really like this is a pencil sketch version of the very first page. So this happened in 2002, which is about, you know, 22-ish years ago, and you know, I did this with traditional pencil, and you know, at the time, the characters didn't have names, the comic didn't have a name. I just had very vague plans for it. I mean, my motivations were to just, I saw other furry comics that I liked, and I just wanted to see if I could do it. I mean, I'd been practicing art for a little while before this, and just like let's see if I can do a little bit of sequential art storytelling, because it looked fun. And then you know, what I was, the subject matter, you know, was something that was kind of on my mind at the time, and it's just like at that time, maybe I feel like it was a bit of a transitionary period between a time where, you know, being gay was like a very bad thing to, you know, it started to be kind of a little bit less bad, and I at that time I knew I was gay at that time, but I wasn't super thrilled about it. I kind of like, you know, there was some baggage with that, and you know, like especially like feelings that maybe society kind of makes you think are not natural, not good, and I just kind of, you know, I felt a desire to kind of cast a more positive light on those feelings, and just maybe like they don't have to be bad. It can be, you know, but it did start out as this like, help me process these weird feelings, and you know, like make them not seem so weird, hopefully. So and yeah, like I said, it wasn't a some of the art inspirations I had for this, I'd say like Bill Watterson's work on Calvin and Hobbes really was the kind of the work that taught me, or just showed me the potential for comics as an art form, just being, you know, like just really beautiful pages that can, you know, kind of the art can help with the storytelling and connecting the reader with that. So I just like thought that guy did, you know, a masterful job. And as far as the subject matter, I did like this, a couple comics from back in the day. One was ASB, Associated Student Bodies, and another one was like Buster Wild, which is a black and white, you know, ink comic about a queer werewolf. And you know, that's yeah, that's kind of the first page got posted, and you know, I didn't know what would happen, and we'll just kind of find out what happened. So yeah, at this point, you know, I just had a few couple pages under my belt, and everything was in black and white. Like this is you know, an example of one of the stories here. We got you know, we got the raccoon, and he's, you know, someone's in the shower and he steals the towel. So you know, this is just a portion of one of the pages, and but it kind of shows the black and white inked, you know, feel that I was going for in the comic, and I was like, this is kind of originally kind of how I envisioned it was going to look, and I'm like, yeah, this looks great. I'm going to make it, you know, work on my inking and put in these little, you know, little graphics and stuff to help tell the story, and that was kind of the stuff I like to experiment with. And around this time, I started, you know, just putting these little cute titles for every page. This one is called "There's a New Thief in Town." You know, the raccoon is stealing something, and you know, everyone probably knows that that's a reference to Raccoon, you know, Sly Cooper, the video game Raccoon game. So that's, yeah. At this point, you know, I kind of was getting some you know, a lot of positive encouragement from you know, from the community, and like in a way that it was kind of, in some ways it was a little harder to connect with the community back then, because there was no monolithic thing that, you know, like, so like there's no social media engines, and you just kind of have to post it to these places that people are, you know, may or may not check. You know, like you don't have an account with followers, like you can't really grow that back then. So it was just like spread by word of mouth, and it you know, very encouraging stuff. So I did kind of, it did really help. Like I wasn't sure at the point of the first page if I would keep going, and this stage kind of was like, yeah, people are connecting with this. I'm having a good time. Let's keep going, and that's kind of when we get to the next phase, which is when we started to add color to the comic. And like I can do color if I want to, but I tend to, you know, prioritize my time for doing the writing and the line work. And some really kind and helpful folks in the fandom, fans would actually color the comics. So the first run we had kind of two different colorists. One was named Ruth, and the other one Velocity Boy, and they really kind of did a great job coloring, and I, you know, it left me kind of more time to work on the line work part. And you know, I did kind of direct coloring, but I didn't micromanage it. So you know, it was a nice balance. And then let's see. Yeah, at this point you might have, like, we'll retouch on this other bullet about the remasters, but I'm remastering the comic at this point with some new colors, and I'll talk about why. And but since I'm talking about colors, I wanted to credit Mag the Ferret for doing really nice color work on the remasters, and we'll look at the remasters a little bit later. And you know, I like to put little Easter eggs, you know, especially little nerdy ones in here. And I'm sorry, the screen's a little small, but Aiden's got a Two-Fish shirt, and that's a Dr. Seuss reference. And also, if you're a cryptography nerd, you might know that that's a symmetric block cipher algorithm. And I used to work with a guy who wrote that, and just kind of like, I like to throw little stuff. There's stuff like that all over. So and you know, like, probably no one gets it but me, but you know, it just makes it fun for me, and you know, sometimes people get it and I'm like, yeah, you got it. So yeah. So let's see. Well, and then after, you know, I felt like the comic needed like a home. It needed a place to live on the internet, and the places available in the early web era of like 2002-ish was VCL, Usenet, FTP sites. That's it. So, you know, this was like years before FA came out, and you know, like there's just kind of like not a VCL was fine. You know, like so happy it was there, and rest in peace. It just kind of recently went away. But yeah, like at this point, I kind of coded a website for it. So I'm a little bit into tech stuff. So you know, I made the website with a bunch. Wow, it's loud over there. Really annoying. Yeah. So yeah. I won't get into the technical details of like all the weird ways I designed the website in a kind of weird way, but that was a fun little project. One of the things you might notice, this is the way the pages are kind of displayed or organized on the website. It's kind of, I don't know, I just did it this way. It's not the most user-friendly, and you know, sorry, I just set it up one way, and it's all these scripts that generate stuff, and it's hard to change now, and that's how it is. But I might, like, I don't know, yeah, that, at this point, it's just kind of like I'm used to it, and that's how it is. There are a lot of, you know, the comic's been, one of the surprises to me was how well the comic resonated with fans, like not just here, but in other countries. So there are a lot of translations. I think I have like 10 different languages on the site now, and there's a few other languages that didn't really get on the site because the translations didn't get far enough, or for whatever reason. But basically, like they were a little bit too much work for me to maintain the, you know, putting all the translations up, but I did really appreciate the effort of people to kind of share this with folks who don't speak English. Some of the sites are actually managed by, you know, like the French site, there's someone who kind of like maintains a whole site for it in French, and you know, I think that's really, you know, it's really cool. There's a fan art gallery on the website, which is kind of, unfortunately, not too up to date, but it does have like a whole bunch of pages of fan art and fan comics for the site. So there, those are, you know, most of those are living there. At least the old ones. Like the new ones, I haven't been too good about putting the new ones up there. So maybe one day. There's also character bios. And the character bios are just little fun tidbits about each character. There's coconut comics, which kind of makes no sense, and you know, if I explain it, it'll make even less sense. So, but there are comics like featuring coconut versions of the characters from some alternate anthropomorphic coconut animal universe. And they were like basically April Fool's Day kind of comics that were low effort, and I drew them with a Sharpie. And then, let's see, the final kind of thing about the website were these Oakaki forums, and they are, whoa, these Oakaki forums are, and forums, sorry, Oakaki and forums, they're two different things. So Oakaki is a drawing board, and it was kind of a community where artists and kind of non-artists could just go share stuff, and then the forums were a place where you meet friends and post. And those are both gone because they technical issues. I learned what a kind of, the more functionality you put into a website, it's kind of like gets harder to maintain over time. So I just kind of had to scale it back. So here, you know, like I already alluded to some help I got from friends in the community. There were the guest strips and the fan art and the fan comics. Got help with web hosting. Got some financial help to get new equipment and stuff broke, but you know, like really just kind of it just help and encouragement, and I'd like to kind of call out a couple special, you know, extra special people who helped me, and some special attendees here. My parents are here in the audience, so this. So my mom and dad basically taught me that, you know, if I try to do anything, they kind of instilled that in me at a young age, and it was just like this good thing. My mom is also a great artist, and she kind of taught me that, you know, about the joy of, you know, exploring art and expressing yourself that way. And also, my husband is here, so he's just really appreciate all the love and support that I get as I spend my time on all this furry stuff. So thank you. Now talk about the creative process a little bit. So, you know, I think this may be similar to how some other webcomic people work, but, you know, just in terms of you know, starting with a script, you know, things have to start with a story. Your purpose is to tell a story. So there are kind of, you can be, you know, I don't know, like if you want to be set up a dichotomy, you've got like two kinds of writers. You have pantsers and plotters. So I tended to be a pantser, which is to seat your pants, just kind of do whatever you feel like doing at the time. And you know, this is an example of this. So this script here is where I just felt like, hey, it's time to introduce some kind of antagonist or some kind of person to put some tension into the story. So that's where this big muscle wolf guy comes in, and he's kind of a you know, he's a character who's just kind of pushes some of the other characters' buttons. He's a little bit, you know, he's a little bit rough and not too polite. So, you know, you can see him kind of poking some fun at the, you know, Colin the Fox, who's one of the protagonists, and that's kind of as far as plotting. Sometimes I will plot these like 4 or 5 page segments, but it tends to be like once I'm done with that, then I'll just. I had a general idea of where I wanted it to go, but I really enjoyed the spontaneity of just coming up with whatever felt right at the time. Yeah, this is the script. You know, more of the script. So you can't read this. I can barely read this. It's just kind of showing you that the creative process starts out messy and unfocused. So this is just dialogue. It's kind of like hello and no, you know. Well, what does he say? Like, oh, that's kind of sweet, you know. Anyway, just there's some dialogue here, and it's all, you know. I got some scribbles, and it's just a mess. But the point is, I can read it. It is like it goes in hand with the layout sketch. So this is a layout sketch, which is just like, you probably also got, you can probably not even tell what that is. And if this was like a storyboard to share with another artist, I would make it nicer. But this is just for me to quickly visualize like how the shapes are gonna fit on the paper, so I can come up with like a layouts and compositions that look pleasing. So I want to try to put a variety of poses. Like I X'd this one out here because it's like, oh, by the time I did this one, I'm like, this one should look like this, but then this one looks too similar to that one. So I cross it out. You know, I practice a few. You know, just a little warm up for doing the real one, and then you know, the real one comes out and it just looks, you know, like kind of like that. So this has both blue pencil with ink over it, which is kind of a pretty standard way of doing that stuff. But at this, you know, this is where kind of like it all comes together. Although like as messy and illegible as the other steps were, they're very important to coming up with this step. And I did spend, I did spend a bit of time on those earlier steps just to like get everything set in my head before I put it on the paper. And I feel like the traditional media process forces you to do that. It's like, these lines are somewhat permanent once you put them down. Like they take a lot of effort to change. So you really plan it a lot ahead of time, and that's just kind of what those other slides are showing. Then, after I scan it, I clean it up, and I put in some digital stuff. So like down in this area, anyway, like I add the title, stuff, refinements. Some of the panels that I didn't like the layout for in the original layout sketch, I might completely redo them. Like in this one, the first two panels on the second line, I just don't look anything like the layout sketch, just as I didn't like how they were in the layout sketch. I did a new thing. And then kind of the title here is like, You've Got Mail, which is kind of a old AOL reference. I mean, at the time it wasn't that old. And here we go. We have the color now, and this is the version that is on the website. So that's kind of how. Yeah, that's kind of the steps, and it. I followed this kind of process for a lot of the strips, but not all of them. And you can tell some of them have a different look. And this, like, I don't always follow this. I do like experiment a lot, and some of the, I would say some of the styles look better to me than others. I don't know. This is kind of the process I used for the majority of the comic with this traditional start, and I kind of like how this process looks. Although some of the other ones have advantages too. And the secret item. So if you can't read it, unusually long hiatuses is kind of a feature of this comic. So that's kind of, I don't know. I'm just going to, rather than apologize for it, because I don't want to feel sorry for my work at all. But it's a thing. It's not great to stop working, but I feel like that's just part of my creative process. Is sometimes I need to stop for a while, or maybe a long while, and do something else. And I come back to it. I usually come back to things, or if it's important, I'll come back to it. So this is one that's been kind of important enough to me to stop and then come back to multiple times. And I'm in the process of kind of coming back to it again. Thank you all for putting up with those and being patient. So I know it's that's how it is sometimes. And this is just kind of this is about the content is a little bit just a little bit spicy, not too spicy, but there's some implied, it's pretty gay right there, but it's not like it's not anything that you're gonna have to I don't know, shield your eyes from. It's basically like I like this kind of I do like this kind of light romance vibe, and really I like to leave some things to the reader's imagination. I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, like once the lights go out, you can imagine whatever you want, and I don't want to, like, I feel like it kind of. If I were to draw that, I don't know. I feel like I couldn't. I would rather have you all imagine whatever you want, rather than me kind of like draw something explicit. And I really do kind of I like these guys. I like these characters a lot. I want to give them, you know, have a little bit of boundaries and give them a little privacy sometimes. I don't know if that's weird, but they're just kind of let's let them do their thing. But you know, here we go with some more of these like sketchy, unfinished work. So you know, I've heard my kind of content or tone described as wholesome horny, and I like that word. I thought that's cute. We got lots of puns and cheesy jokes in here that tend to be a little bit nerdy. So this piece here is called Air on the G String, and if you, so Aiden's playing the violin and he's wearing a G string, and you can see Colin kind of giving a little air down there by giving the G string a little tug. And if you're a classical music fan, you'll know that's a arrangement of a composition by J.S. Bach, and it's like, you know, it's like one of the super platinum tier tracks from the Baroque era. If you haven't heard it, it's like sublime. So anyway, like I do like these sketch feel. Oftentimes, one of the things I struggled with as an artist is like, I love the sketch, and then I ink it, and it's like it lost energy, and that happens. And this one, I was like, I like this one so much, I was scared to ink it. I'm like, I don't want to lose the energy. Let me just stop. So that's this piece, and we move on to talk about some of my favorite, or you know, just cherry pick a few little moments from the comic. And you know, I think a lot of the comic resonates with people because of relatable moments. And this is one for me here. We have like Colin and Aiden are playing some video games. Colin's got this big old victory smile. Aiden's kind of looking, I don't know. He's looking a little defeated here, but he had a great time. You know, like there's a little healthy competition, and I can certainly relate to getting my butt kicked in video games by my husband usually. Anyway, The next one is this Raccoon undies, underwear or boxers. Little thread. So that would it don't have to explain it in detail, but this, you know, there was some there's a moment where Colin acquires some of Aiden's underwear that has raccoons on it, and you know, makes its reappearance. And this is a moment where I felt like the fandom liked it, and it kind of made me aware of the latent thirst for underwear type art. And you know, like, I hadn't seen much in the fandom before this, and now there are like a lot of underwear centric artists that make great work. And you know, this is kind of like the moment where I'm like, oh, I made an underwear art that everyone likes, and that was really fun. So like, there was actually some, you know, demand for this as a product, and I did investigate, like, what would it take to me, you know, to make some raccoon underwear. And you know, I went through it, and it was like, ooh, it's kind of hard, kind of risky. At the time, the options available didn't facilitate that happening. So I didn't pursue that, but that was a lot of fun. And then you know, the other moment I gotta highlight is just this one moment where Aiden is in the bed, just kind of thinking about how weird he feels about, you know, this is from the first comic where he's, you know, like, he just kind of saw the naked fox in the locker room. He's like, you know, felt weird about it, and that's kind of like, processing feelings like that was kind of the reason I chose this as a subject matter. And you know, like, so, you know, got to kind of call that out as one of the moments that I thought was a defining one in the comic. And here's I like to have fun with the visual storytelling. So here's one where like a small part of a sequence where it's part of a communication between Aiden and Colin. And this first panel on the left is, I thought this was an example where the layout kind of helped with the storytelling. We've got the two characters, and you can't read the thought bubble, but it says like, "Man, I was an idiot. I bet he hates me now." So they're both really bummed, and they just kind of both miscommunicated with each other a bit, and they're feeling low, and they're just feeling isolated, and and there's this like physical isolation of the doors between them, but it's also they're kind of like mirror images of each other. They're literally thinking the same thoughts. So like as separated as they feel, they're really kind of more alike than different. So that was like one where I thought the layout kind of helped convey that message. And another one where part of like a later strip, but part of the same story arc here with we have Rodney, who's one of the character's friends. He kind of befriends both of them, but he comes over to Colin's room to talk to Colin, and I like this middle one. It's got the fox muzzle in the peripheral vision, and these kind of like stippling dots around the edge to like that's just to try to give you a first-person point of view of, like you're looking at the comic, or like these events are happening from the fox's perspective, and I wanted to try to use visual stuff to get the reader, to see things that way. So, and similarly, we got like Rodney sticking his hands kind of like literally out of the panel. Just try to get a little bit more immersion and connection with the reader with these little comic tricks that I feel like they were just experiments that I thought might be fun to do, and some of them, these are some ones that I thought worked out fine. So yeah, and this one's like an example of a kind of a background I did that I liked. This is very reminiscent of kind of my own college building architecture, but like, I don't know, this time I'm just like, can I do a really nice background? And I tried like inking all these bricks by hand, and wound up spending way more time on the background than the characters, but like it's also the only time I really had an entire top half of the page dedicated to one panel. And this kind of goes back to thinking what would Bill Watterson do? He would like use any part of the panel for anything he wanted, and like, I'm not saying I could do anything like this quality, but I really thought that that was just kind of one of my inspirations for trying to push boundaries of what you can do as a comic artist. And another one here, we got, I like having fun with character expressions and body language. So like these characters have, I love drawing furries because you got like all these extra tools for like expressions. You got tails and ears and whiskers and stuff. So all these things can be used effectively to convey the character's mood, or to just here in the first panel we've got like kind of Duma the cheetah giving Colin the fox this kind of this glare, judging glare. I call this interrogation over coffee. I forget what the actual name of the comic was, but and meanwhile Colin's kind of like not too sure what's going on. He's just looking around. You get this sense of confusion, and I feel like these things are conveyed not with words, but just with body language. And the cheetah asks, like, so how about you? Are you just a friend of Aiden's too? And that's kind of it's really like the tone of that, it has a bit of a I don't know, a bit of intensity to that tone. It's like, you know, like they're obviously kind of, this is part of like a situation where both of these characters like the same, you know, the same raccoon. So they're just kind of sizing each other up. I think sizing up the competition was the title of this, where these came from. So, you know, Colin doesn't know how to respond to that. He's just like, no, I mean, yeah, we're just friends. And he just kind of realizes he flubbed the answer, and he just doesn't know what to do other than kind of smile and laugh at himself and just look nervous. And I really like this last panel. That's kind of the one I chose for my social media presence. I don't know. I just went through like some, you know, I was like, I tried drawing some new thing, and you know, but I went back and like looked at my old comics. And I'm like, hey, that's a good face. I'm gonna snag that face for myself. Even though, so you know, if you look at my Twitter, that's my face, even though that's Colin and, you know, not actually my persona. But yeah, like back to another. This is a kind of a cherry-picked entire strip. So I just picked this one as maybe a good example of what the strip is all about. So really kind of it's just the message of the comic as a whole is, you know, just to just kind of accept yourself and be comfortable with yourself. So you start out seeing the Aiden and Colin are, you know, walking around on campus, and you know, this is kind of after they've been friends for a while, and maybe more than friends, they're not exactly sure. So, you know, it starts out like, hey, are we a couple now? Colin the Fox is like, yeah, I guess. Raccoon asks, would you mind if I hold your hand? And the Fox kind of looks a little unsure. He's like, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing. And just, you know, like, this is a throwback to times where really it's like holding some guy's hand going down school. It's just, I couldn't even think of doing that when I was in school. So yeah, like, so, you know, the raccoon is basically like, oh, okay, he kind of looks a little despondent, I guess. And so Colin notices his reaction. I think, you know, like some little wheels are turning in his head, and is my hang up about this really worth like letting this guy I care about be sad and like denying myself something that I want to do anyway? It's like, you know, he wants to, but he's just kind of, he's got this hang up. So he, you know, this is where he makes a decision, like, you know, he literally just, what the hell? Just let's hold hands. So I mean, that's all they do. It's like can I hold your hand? Yes. But I feel like that is the kind of the crux of the comic, is like where you can transition to a point where you accept yourself and be happy, and just kind of not really, you know, not worry about what external factors think about you. So let's that, you know, that kind of covered a lot of the comic from you know, the original run, and what's happening today. Just, you know, maybe not a lot is happening today, but some stuff is happening, and you know, I'm just basically I'm having fun with it, and I'm trying to kind of get back into more of a creative, just put a little more creative energy into that. We have a few examples of recent works, or semi-recent works. So, you know, we got a kind of a Peanuts-inspired holiday card on the left, where all the characters are gathering around a very miserable little Charlie Brown Christmas tree, and we've got this little, in the middle we got this bath time sequence where, you know, Colin's just chilling out in the tub, and then, you know, knock on the door. You know, Aiden comes in, and he just wants to say hi, and, you know, dump a little hot, you know, little nice hot water on the fox's head, and just make him happy. So, you know, just a little affection there. And you know, here on the right, we've got we've got Colin at the Korean spa, just kind of washing up, and, you know, just little little pinup type thing. And this was actually colored by one of my art buddies, Narf. And yeah, like we'll get to some other examples, but really like this comic kind of helped me connect with a lot of artists and make some art friends. And it's been yeah. So Narf did a really great job on the coloring, and it looks better than that. Like, I'm sorry, the projector kind of didn't do an amazing job there. And here's another kind of newish piece that I did maybe a couple of years ago. So, you know, we got the two stars of the comic are, you know, out on the mountain sledding. They had a little mishap, a little fun mishap, and got, you know, wound up with this little cute little crash. So this is kind of inspired by the view out of my living room. It just looks really awesome. You know, I live up in the mountains, and it's nice. So yeah, so they're out there playing in the snow, and let's move on to some of the new friends and fans I might have made while making this comic. So we've got this piece here, and this is a kind of a comic strip written by my friend Great Goat. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys know him or not, but if you whether you know him or not, he's right there. So this is my buddy Grape flew over to go to the convention, and he's I really like this. I really like this page. It's got kind of Grape came up with a story for this one, and the characters are kind of studying in the library, and you know, it looks like Colin's asking, it's like, hey, Aiden, you said you had something for me, and you know, like the screen's showing like these, you know, under the table he's got a backpack with like some roses hidden in there, and you know, but Aiden's just like, forget it, but you know, he just basically chickens out and leaves, and doesn't give the roses, and at the end, you know, you've got Colin sniffing around, and he's like, oh, that's a shame, I like roses. So, you know, Colin knew all along that the roses were there, but you know, this is cute because it's got, you know, kind of uses some of the characters' animal traits. You know, they smell, they have refined sense of smell. They're in, I don't know, great. Yeah. You want to say hi, Greg?
Yeah.
Hi. Okay. Yeah, it's super cute. All right, thank you. And this is the remastering I was talking about. So we have you know, this is the color by Magic Ferret. It's kind of yeah. I'd recommend like looking at it on the website. It's on the website in the higher resolution, and the color looks better. But like motivations for this were that the original comic was all colored in like very low res. Like web resolution was 1024 pixels wide, and that's what all the color is in. And in order to get, you know, in order to up-res things, I can either like use AI, which kind of looks weird, or I can just like remaster it by scanning the originals in high res and then recoloring them, which is much more effort, but it also allows me the opportunity to be OCD and fix little things that I want to fix. So one of the things I'm fixing is kind of some of the hand lettering that readers have over the years said is difficult to read because my penmanship is not the best. So I'm putting a font in there, just kind of making the colors more consistent. Anyway, I'm happy with how it works. Maybe like, I don't know how much fans like really need the new color, but I personally like it, and I felt like it was necessary for me to kind of want to re-engage with the comic and do some of my other future plans with it. So we'll talk about future plans in a second, but like next section, we got what if furries remember about this comic? So we're still here, 20-some years later, talking about it, and we've got like, yeah, the people remember the community and the friends they made. So I would say like one of the factors was the forums. Like a lot of people made their first group of friends on the forums, and or maybe they were cocky, but I would say the forums were a lot more popular. And then we've got like I had some mailing lists, and they were kind of active chatter about it, and people would talk to others and maybe make friends over this, and you really like, okay, whether the comic is great or not, like some of these friends you might still have, and you just kind of remember maybe why you met them. And another one is awakenings. So for some, you might call it their furry awakening. It was like the first time they were introduced to furry content. And I don't know if anyone here is there anyone here who kind of like found furry through this comic? We got a few, and it's been so it's the kind of opens up. It's not really. It's really a statement of how awesome the fandom is. Is that like it introduced some people to something that wound up becoming important in their in their lives, and and some people it helped them realize some feelings about themselves too. So maybe they didn't know, or there's some either confusion or lack of awareness of some of their latent feelings, and it might help them find them, and that's something they might remember from the comic. And I would say above all, like feeling good about yourself. That's a lot of people were kind of in a maybe different stages of coming out to themselves. I would say some of the early stages of coming out to yourself don't feel too good. You might be kind of bummed about like some of these new feelings and realizations, and this was this just kind of gave people something to feel good about, and it's like, here's an example of some characters that are like you, relatable maybe to you, and they're having they're living their best lives, and just kind of you can do that too. So it did really, the amount of people who kind of like told me the comic made them feel good about themselves really awakened me to the power of art to impart changes on people's, or not to help people feel good, or just it made them, I think it made it less scary to feel different. Sorry, I'm kind of stuttering. It's a little Anyway, if it helped anyone feel good, I'm really happy, because that's kind of what this is all. That's kind of why I did this. It's like I'm happy if it worked out for anyone. And one other thing that it did in some is to maybe inspire some creativity. So I would say a lot of artists or non-artists alike were just kind of like, hey, this is pretty cool. Maybe I'll try to make my first comic. Maybe I'll try to make my first drawing. I got some fan arts from different readers who were just like, hey, I loved your comic. It made me want to learn to draw. Here's my first drawings. They're of your characters, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is so cute. I'm happy that you've got inspired to try to do something new, and that you're having fun with it. And that I think like part of the reason I don't know. I'm just theorizing. Like there's a lot of artworks out there, but I don't know. Maybe mine made drawing feel a little bit accessible. I don't really do super Rembrandt technical skills stuff. Some of the panels maybe look like, hey, I could do that. And I don't say that in a way that's self-deprecating too much. Maybe it sounds that way, but I think that is a good thing. It's just like, hey, you don't need you don't need like Leonardo da Vinci skills to make a webcomic that can kind of like connect with people. It's, you can just use creative ways, just try to use the tools you have in cool creative ways to kind of do the most you can with them. And that's kind of what I was always trying to do, is like push the envelope, push my comfort zone. It's like I knew I could do there's certain types of poses I was like scared to do because they're just like too foreshortened and too whatever. I'd be like, let me just do what I can, and sometimes I might be like, let me try a new one, and it looks a little funny, but I'm like, I'll just go for it. Look, some of the foreshortening is like not perfect. It doesn't matter. Like you're telling a story, and the art is helping. So finally, I would say, like, all the feeling good that the comic kind of engendered in people was kind of I feel like there's a bit of good karma floating around from that. So you have this cause and effect relationship. If you feel good about yourself, you're probably more likely to be a nice person and to do nice things. So I think it's really in society's interest to make people kind of happy and feel good about themselves. And in some ways, like, I don't know, karma's weird. Maybe it comes back to you, maybe not. But I feel like there was one recent example where it did kind of come back to me. So I injured my leg last month at LVSC. I just kind of like sliced a muscle, or tore it somehow, and I just couldn't really get medical care quick enough for it to help. And I asked around. It's like, hey, anyone know physical therapy? Like, can you answer some questions? And like one guy did. He answered to all these questions and gave me like a program. It helped a ton. And I just wound up finding out he actually like went into physical therapy because Colin the Fox, or not, I won't say because, a factor that he went into physical therapy was that Colin the Fox, if you look at his character bio, he majored in sports medicine. He wanted to help people kind of like recover from injuries. Like Colin actually gets injured himself in the comic, and Aiden kind of helps him feel better about his injury. So like I don't know, for this guy, I think that helped him to realize, like, hey, I want to try this out. I want to help people. And then he wound up helping me later when I needed it. And it was like that was like a, I don't know, kind of heartwarming to me. And finally, like future plans here. So I got some subscription stuff. Like if you look my name up, like there's like a Patreon or something. But like don't worry about it. It's not like I don't paywall anything. It's just kind of like if you feel like it, and publication plans are I would like to publish the comic after the remasters are done. So I'm working on that, and I've engaged with a potential publisher about that. New pages in story, I do want to continue it. I feel like I left the comic in a state where it could, it kind of in a state where it's not really closed too well. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life on this comic because there are other comics that I want to. There are other stories I want to tell, but I do like this. This story does mean kind of a lot to me, and I would like to kind of give it a nice epilogue, and that's kind of what my that's kind of what I plan on doing for a little bit. And with that, that's kind of the set of slides we got here, and I'm sorry, this did run a little longer than I thought with some difficulties, but like if anyone have any questions for me, I don't have to go right away. Hi.
It's glad that it ran long enough where these kids are not stored.
Oh yeah, that was loud. Yeah.
Did
Well,
it help anyone come out themselves?
Yeah, it did. I think it did. Hello. Yes.
I will say, it's not so much a question, but it's more like, I really appreciate having stories where it's actually going through the process of sexual awakening, because a lot of like media like that nowadays, just like, this character is gay, and we don't see like their internal struggles of trying to figure that out. And I think that's a very important thing that we need to discuss about.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. I think these kind of stories are important, and especially, we need more of them, especially for people who, I mean, we have. I feel like the whole cis gay thing is more comfortable now. Like it's easier to be that now, but there are other groups who are still kind of struggling for acceptance, and we really need. Yeah, I think we need to keep telling these kinds of stories.
Were any characters based on people you knew, or?
Not really. I mean, I might have poured a little bit of my own personality into the raccoon, but I wouldn't say he's exactly me or any character is exactly anyone. But I did pick a few traits from maybe some people I knew in the past, but not in any consistent, intentional way. Yeah. In the back. Yeah.
For people getting into like anthropomorphic art and stuff, what are some resources you'd recommend to like work on proportion and like perspective and stuff like that?
Well, I would recommend take a life drawing class. So take a drawing class just to learn the basic techniques, and then take a life drawing class to learn to draw from figures from life. And there's really like no substitute for a live model. I think it's very helpful. Yes, great.
Did you ever see the influence of the comic hit around the early 2000s cons?
Yeah, I did. I was actually like it was kind of I don't know, like it. I like trying to be a little humble, but it was kind of a big deal back in the day, and I feel like there was at least one con kind of invited me to go over and be a guest of honor a long time ago, and I didn't do it, and I always kind of like man, I should have done it, and it's one of the reasons I'm like, well, now it's like 20 years later and I did it here, but like back in the early cons, I don't know, I don't know what you mean by influence, but like people liked it, people talked about it, and it did kind of like people go, oh, you're that guy, and it's been I don't know, it's kind of it made going to cons maybe a little easier for me, because some people would, a lot of people would just know my work, and that at least in that context it influenced. But I don't know, like it actually inspired some people to create their characters, so their own persona. Like there's an Aiden Raccoon for person who had that as a persona, Colin Fox, and they're not my characters, but they just like, hey, I like Raccoon, I like this Raccoon, I like this fox. I'm just gonna kind of go with that name and character, and so yeah, I would say for kind of like a cult classic, it had a few really intense fans, and some, like in general, like I would say like awareness of it, but yeah. Hi.
I don't know if you talked about this earlier in the panel, but you said that you might not be doing this comic, for the rest of your life, and that there's some other projects and stuff you want to get to.
Yeah.
Can you share any details?
I'm just thinking about it at this point, and I feel like there's so much, there's still quite a bit of work to do in this comic. So, before I say any details, like I would probably want to get further, but I do kind of want to explore other types of storytelling. Maybe not, like it wouldn't be another coming out story. It would, it might have a very different goal, and I'm still kind of working out what that's going to be, because like now that I've done kind of like one, I have some other unfinished comics. Like finishing a comic is freaking hard. Like starting it is kind of hard, but finishing it is really hard. So like I've never actually started a whole a comic series and actually finished it. Like it just, so before I embark on this thing that is going to be quite an investment in time, I want to think about it but it's probably going to be pretty different. So yeah, sorry I can't get too much details because I don't really have them. It's still kind of percolating.
I think it's kind of like reassuring to know that like you have such a positive outlook going out to that, and then but you might not quite know what you want to do yet.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I feel like some of the tools available to me as an artist now will enable me to do kind of some different things that I didn't think were possible back then. And I probably want to color it myself and control that part of the process. And yeah, I mean, you know, maybe like it's going to be furry for sure, just because that's the thing I love to draw most. But other than that, you know, I don't know. Like I'm thinking like maybe some sci-fi elements in there or some other just some other genre stuff.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, no more questions. So I want to thank everyone for coming, and I just like this is my first time talking about this comic, so I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you listening, and most of all, appreciate everyone, you know, kind of reading it and supporting me and making me feel good about creating this thing over the years. It's really kind of I would say it's had a positive impact on my life too, in terms of like kind of, you know, feeling good about myself and confidence as an artist, and also like just fitting into a place, you know. So thank you all for being awesome furries, and really appreciate you coming here.
Thank you.
During the kids panel right next door, doesn't make noise.
So what that was kids like
Kids meetup.
Wow. Okay.